Queen Elizabeth II was the monarch of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Queen Elizabeth II was born Princess Elizabeth Alexandra Mary in London, daughter of Prince Albert, Duke of York, and his wife, Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, was born on April 21, 1926. She was also the only female member of the royal family to have entered the armed forces and served in World War II. She spent much of her childhood with nannies. Princess Elizabeth was influenced greatly by her mother, who instilled in her a devout Christian faith as well as a keen understanding of the demands of royal life. Her grandmother, Queen Mary, consort of King George V, also instructed Elizabeth and her younger sister Margaret in the finer points of royal etiquette. Like many royals of her time and before, Elizabeth never went to a public school and was never exposed to other students. Instead, she was educated at home with Margaret, her younger sister. Educated by private tutors with an emphasis on British history and law, the princess also studied music and learned to speak fluent French. She trained as a girl guide and developed a lifelong passion for horses. A key question is that how did she become a queen? She assumed the title of queen in 1952 after her father's death and reigned for more than 70 years until her death on September 8, 2022, making her the longest reigning monarch in British history. At the time of her birth, most people did not realize Elizabeth would someday become the Queen of Great Britain. When Elizabeth's grandfather, George V, died in 1936, his eldest son and Elizabeth's uncle became King Edward VIII. Edward, however, was in love with American divorcee Wallis Simpson and had to choose between the crown and his heart. In the end, Edward chose Simpson and abdicated the crown. The event changed the course of her life, making her the heir presumptive to the British crown. Elizabeth was crowned Queen Elizabeth II on June 2, 1953 in Westminster Abbey at the age of 25. Elizabeth assumed the responsibilities of the ruling monarch on February 6, 1952, when her father, King George VII, died. So, why does everyone love her? For decades, Queen Elizabeth II was a figure of national pride who was respected around the world. She displayed an unwavering commitment to her country and the Commonwealth throughout her record-breaking reign. She was constantly at work, carrying out her constitutional duties, and despite her constitutional responsibilities, she encouraged and supported more than 600 charities. It was at the time of national crisis that people would often turn to her to share their grief and look for a sense of guidance. Her cool, reliable cheerfulness made her overwhelmingly popular with the British public. While she was lauded for her work abroad, she was also praised for opening up the royal household and giving the public a glimpse of the family's life at home. Queen Elizabeth stood apart from the rest of the royal family, commanding a level of respect and reverence. Elizabeth also oversaw the monarchy's evolution into a champion of a diminished United Kingdom at home and abroad, and she worked tirelessly to keep the crown relevant in a changing world. Elizabeth's long and mainly peaceful reign was marked by vast changes in her people's lives, in her country's power, how Britain is viewed abroad, and how the monarchy is regarded and portrayed. As a constitutional monarch, Elizabeth did not weigh in on political matters, nor did she reveal her political views. As queen, Elizabeth modernized the monarchy, dropping some of its formalities and making certain sites more accessible to the public. Elizabeth first met Philip, son of Prince Andrew of Greece, when she was only 13. She was smitten with him from the start. Her love story began in 1939, when Prince Philip of Greece, a handsome 18-year-old naval cadet, was detailed to entertain the 13-year-old Elizabeth for a day. Several years later, Philip was invited to join the royal family at Windsor Castle at Christmas, and he soon made discreet inquiries whether he would be considered an eligible suitor. The two kept in touch over the years and eventually fell in love. The couple married in Westminster Abbey in 1947. When Philip died in 2021 at age 99, Elizabeth described his passing as leaving a huge void in her life. They made an unusual pair. Elizabeth was quiet and reserved, while Philip was boisterous and outspoken. Her father, King George VI, was hesitant about the match, because while Mountbatten had ties to both the Danish and Greek royal families, he didn't possess great wealth and was considered by some to have a rough personality. At the time of their wedding, Great Britain was still recovering from the ravages of World War II, and Elizabeth collected clothing coupons to get fabric for her gown. The Queen had an enduring marriage to the Duke of Edinburgh, and they soon supported each other and produced 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 11 great-grandchildren. Prince Charles, now the Prince of Wales, heir apparent to the throne, was born in 1948, and his sister Prince Anne, now the Princess Royal, 2 years later. After Princess Elizabeth became queen, their third child, Prince Andrew, arrived in 1960, and the fourth, Prince Edward, in 1964. Prince Andrew and Prince Edward were the first children to be born to a reigning monarch since Queen Victoria had her family. Following one of her last appearances, when she appointed the new British Prime Minister, Liz Truss, concerns swirled about the Queen's health. She wasn't able to travel to London for the occasion, a break from tradition. On September 8, her remarkable reign came to an end when Buckingham Palace announced she died peacefully hours after doctors said they were concerned for her health. As far as how Queen Elizabeth died, the palace did not provide many details, saying only that she died peacefully at Balmoral Castle in Scotland, where she has traditionally spent her late summer holiday. The impact of her loss will be huge and unpredictable, both for the nation and for the monarchy, an institution she helped stabilize and modernize across decades of huge social change and family scandals. Nearly a century of institutional memories of war, of 15 prime ministers, of an empire dismantled. The Queen was perhaps the last great British institution because she was the institution so universally respected, even loved. In her 70 years on the throne, she became one of the most recognizable, admired, and trusted figures in the world. Thousands of people gathered across the United Kingdom to pay tribute to the late Queen Elizabeth II, amid a wave of global mourning. People flocked to Buckingham Palace in London and other royal sites on Friday as the royal family was preparing funeral services for the United Kingdom's longest-serving monarch. Where was the Queen buried? The Queen was buried at the King George VI Memorial Chapel at St. George's Chapel, on the grounds of Windsor Castle, where she spent many of her final years. The Queen was buried next to Prince Philip, the Queen's beloved late husband of 73 years. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Leave a like if you want to see more of these videos. It really helps the channel. But for now, I hope to see you again soon.